Hey guys, for this tutorial, I want to show you how to use the gradient mesh tool. The gradient mesh tool is a wonderful tool so that you can get some photorealistic type of art files. I included a download zip files for you guys to use so you can follow along in this tutorial. And we're going to vectorize a red bell pepper. So let's go ahead and place that image by going to File, Place, and I'm going to navigate to where I saved that. Oops, I just had it right there, and it's in my gradient mesh demo folder. Red bell pepper, make sure it's linked. I'm going to hit place, and I'm going to enlarge that to the size of my document, and I'm going to center it in that space. So the first thing you need to do is convert that to a template file so that you can redraw it. So my first layer, I'm going to double click on it, and I'm going to click and select template. Now here is the difference. I don't change the dim setting to 75, instead I change it to 100. The reason why I select the dim setting to be at 100 is because I'm going to use the photograph to capture my colors, and I need to capture the colors at 100%. If I have it at 75%, then my colors are going to be only 75% tint shade, and then I'll end up with a 75% tint graphic file. So instead, make sure that that is set to 100%. A couple of things to keep in mind when selecting a photograph for meshing, guys. You want to make sure that it has a nice high resolution and that it's a super clean, crystal clear. So for example, if I zoom in some of these areas here, notice that I don't have any kind of ditherness patterns that sometimes if you do portrait designs or portrait photographs, you'll have different shades of different colors, like some greens and some blues and some yellows. You want to get a photo that's really high res for meshing. If you have a pixelated photos, you don't have enough details in it, then it's going to be very difficult to translate. Before I get started, I want to explain a couple of things about the tool. So if I go in here, I'm going to say that this is going to be my left front pepper. So I'm just going to use that layer for now. When you mesh an object, let's just do this elliptical tool here first. I'm going to draw a circle, and I'm going to color that circle to be fill. Let's just say cyan for now. No stroke whatsoever. When I apply the mesh tool anywhere in that area, it generates 4 different regions. Now, each one of these regions generates even newer anchor points. Now, the cool thing about the mesh tool is you can assign each anchor point its own unique color. So the center of that anchor point, I'm going to give it a red. I can even take this anchor point here, give it a yellow, or give this one here, all the way down here, a color fill of blue, like a darker blue. This anchor point here, I'll give it a fill of magenta, or let's just do brown so you can see what's going on, or maybe even green. Now the cool thing is that each one of these anchor points now has these anchor handles. Now the anchor handles have a new responsibility. It distributes the gradient colors, the colors from one region to the next. So each time you create a new region, you click in the object with the anchor point, not the anchor point, with the gradient mesh tool, it will generate 4 brand new regions. So that one can get a different color for say. And then you create another region here, it'll create, then you can say that one's a different color. That's the beauty about the gradient mesh tool. Now, what I was getting at is that these anchor handles now have a new responsibility. You can shape those regions, but it also works to distribute the color from one region to the next. Like this anchor point has this purple color assigned to it, for example, whereas this anchor point has the color white assigned to it. If I take the anchor handle from the purple and enlarge it, so that purple color now is going to bleed into that region, and notice that it creates this harsh line. So you can use those rules and manipulate the way you want that those gradients to fall into place. Notice that these 2 anchor handles are overlapping each other, therefore the gradient color is fighting for that space. That's why you get this harsh line in between here. So let's edit and undo that. Also, another thing to keep in mind when working with mesh tools is that it works better using smooth points, not cusps. If you use a cusp, it's going to generate some unwanted results and you won't have much control of the gradients. Okay, with that said, You want to start meshing in segments. You don't want to start meshing something like this as a whole, like draw this bell pepper here as a whole. You want to try and dissect the piece. So I'm going to draw this portion here first, the left side, then I'll draw another layer and I'll call it right front, and then I'll start meshing this portion here next, this part of the bell pepper. So I'm first going to do this one, this side, then I'll do this side, and of course then I'll just have two small meshes here for the back left and the back right, and another mesh just for the stem of the actual bell pepper. Okay, I don't want to make this video too long, so I'm just going to demonstrate how to draw the left front. You're more than welcome to finish out the rest of this on your own time. So let's get started. Now, I know that I said that the best thing to do is to draw these out with using smooth points, but I actually found a tutorial online that demonstrates this using a rectangle instead. So I'm just going to draw a quick rectangle, and I'm going to draw my rectangle in this fashion here. And now from here on out, until I start assigning colors, I'm going to work in outline view mode. So I'm going to go to view, outline view mode. Now I'm going to grab my gradient mesh, and I'm going to mesh the center part. But first, I need to select the most common color that I see in this area. Because right now, in preview mode, I just have a white box with no stroke. So I want that box to have the most common color, which I think it's mostly like right around in here. I see a lot of this color happening around. So there I have my box color to the most common color. The next step is to gradient mesh, apply a mesh to the center of that rectangle. So therefore it generates my 4 regions. I'm not going to worry about color now. So now with the indirect selection tool, I'm going to just tear that off, and the convert anchor point tool, tear that off. I'll be toggling a lot between those two tools because with the indirect selection tool, I can grab and start shaping that mesh on the fly. With the indirect selection tool, if I just want to manipulate one side, then I just grab the anchor handle and only move that one side alone. Now the trick to having successful gradient mesh is to start building out the outer perimeter first. Now, I'm not going to be too concerned, so I'm just going to move this anchor point up, move this anchor point down more, and try to get those handles properly. And then so I'm going to move this one up here, this one I'm going to bring in a little closer, and this one I'm bringing a little closer to that. And then this anchor point, I'm going to move it out to the back over here. And then this one obviously needs to be up on high over here. So now I want to go back in here and I'm going to start cleaning up my path. Let me change my color guide color so that you can see better what's going on with my anchor handles. There we go. And I'm going to grab my convert tool and I'm going to start just creating these shapes. Now I'm not going to be too concerned right now of accuracy because I don't have enough regions, enough meshed regions to really be concerned with getting this as accurately as possible. Once I start adding more and more regions to this, I'll have more anchor handles to clean up and manipulate. So for now, I just want to get the basic shape down. Because once I start having the basic shapes, any other regions that I create will follow suit. You want to keep in mind how the photograph looks with as far as like shadows, midtones, highlights, because the next step after you do the outer perimeter, the very first time outer perimeter, in this particular case, I'm just going to go right around in here. You want to go ahead and start building the shapes of this mesh by just using the way the shadows and the way the image folds within itself. So let me show you what I mean by that. Let me finish this piece right here real quick. So I'm shaping this right there like that, and I'm going to grab my indirect selection tool and shape this path here. Notice that this is not accurate. I'm not too concerned about that right now. So let me zoom out. So this is what I have so far. Now the center line here, I'm going to grab that anchor point. I see that this has a natural curve over here in this direction, then it curves in this direction here like this out to create that shape of that bell pepper. The fact that this one here goes on a straight line, I may just move it over just a bit, just so that I can help create these surfaces. This one here, on the other hand, this anchor handle, so I'm going to grab my convert tool, I can actually make this one curve more in this aspect. And this one will help me create these curves here on this side, okay? I can even just take this one, move it over, but I'm gonna leave it there like that because it can work either way. So instead I'm going to take this anchor handle and I'm gonna curve it because this is a natural curve right around in here. So now the next step is to add another region. You see how this curves in this direction? I wanna create something that mimics that. So I'm gonna add an anchor, I'm gonna add a region right here onto this path. Notice that when I'm in outline view mode, by the way, guys, it's not going to let me add a region in this negative space. Now, if I go into preview mode, notice that I can now add a region into the color fill, but not in outline view. In outline view, I have to add the regions when I'm directly on a path. So therefore, I'm going to use this path here, and I'm going to create a region right here. Now, I want this to curve up so that I can capture these shadows. I can capture this color here. So by that said, I'm going to move this anchor handle up. I'm going to move this anchor handle up. I'm going to bring this one down like this, and I'm going to clean up my paths. So now with my indirect selection tool, I clean up my paths. By the way, do not select those anchor handles, those anchor points with the anchor point tool. Don't do that. It will create a cusp and you'll get extremely unwanted results. So now I can grab my zoom tool, zoom in here, and grab my indirect selection tool and clean up that path and try to get it even closer than before, because now I have an additional anchor point that can help me create that outer shape much, much better and more accurate. Okay, I'll probably bring this one down a little bit more because I like the way that curves. Now I have another one that curves in here and out in this aspect. So let's go ahead and mimic that. So I'm going to click on that anchor point. Now notice that as soon as I start shaping the outer perimeter first, that is absolutely perfect. Look how beautifully that follows. The only thing I'm going to change is take that ending anchor point and bring it out more right here. So now I got to go back in here and clean up my path. My zoom tool and clean up that side. And you see how these two anchor points are crossing each other? That's bad. You want to go ahead and fix them. So bring that handle back out. Otherwise, those colors are going to end up fighting for that region. So you take this anchor handle, bring it in, and now you can grab your indirect selection tool, convert tool, and fix that handle even more. And this one here needs to be a little bit edit undo. That anchor point here needs to be adjusted with this anchor handle right there. See that created a cusp. So that I can try and manipulate and move a little bit better and try and control that a little bit better. There we go. That's much smoother, much cleaner. Happy with that. So let's zoom out again. All right, so I have some highlights here and I have this other strong curve right there. So I'm going to create a region right in here so I can help create these shapes and these contour shapes. So I'm going to create one right here. Now notice how this one jumps up. So I want this to come down. So I'm going to take this region, bring it down, take this region, bring it down. And then of course I have to go back in here and clean up my mess. So I'm going to take this anchor handle, bring it down, grab my convert tool, my indirect selection convert tool, and fix these regions in here as well. Now this is a tedious process, but I promise you there is a method to this madness. Wait till you see the results of all this stuff here. So I'm going to go back in here, clean up all these anchor handles, reshape my path. There we go. And this one needs help. And I'm going to bring this path in and bring that one in some more. All right, so this one here, I kind of want that to be right there. So I want this one to capture the highlight of that color right there. There we go. And then I want the color to bounce off like this. Bring that in. Because you see it's got that round shape. So you have to create your anchor points to follow suit with the shape of the object. And clean that up. So bring that out like that. Okay, that looks really good to me. And you're not going to get this on the first shot, guys, so you've got to be patient. It is a tedious process, but once you understand the tools and all the cool things you can do with it, I'm telling you, this is a fantastic, fantastic tool to use for creating realistic type portraitures and designs. All right, so now I have that one going. I still want to create something here. So check this out. Here's a little trick. I want a region on this spot, but notice that it's not letting me. So what I do, I position the mouse exactly where I want it. I release the mouse, and now I have two free hands. With the two free hands, I use the keyboard shortcut Command Y for preview mode, and now I just click on the mouse, and now it allows me to create a region right there where I need it to be. Okay, so now I want this one to be down here. I want this one right here. And I want this path to follow along the lines of that. And this one here. Because I want that harsh line. Yep, I moved the wrong anchor handle. There, bring it up. Now you, my dear, are coming back. This guy, bring it back this way. And this one, bring it back this way to create that curve. That's going to look awesome. All right, now, once I move all my anchor handles, I clean up my mess. Come back in there, clean up that shape. Notice that these two anchor handles are overlapping with each other. Bring it in, otherwise that color is going to start fighting along with it. Oh, hit it undo, I did something wrong. There, bring that up, hit it undo. Undo again, there we go. Bring that in. And now, guys, what I don't want to do is use the convert tool and clicking on these anchor handles, because look at that. It will generate additional handles, and that creates a mess. So that's what I need to do. Bring that in. All right. I don't want to create that mess. Bring that handle in, bring that handle in. You need to curve out that way. Perfect. There we go. All right, zoom out. Now let's get some of these, some shadows in here. So you see I got a nice strong shadow in here. So this color is going to help me create these darker paths and these darker shadows. Now, these look a little stair-steppy, so just clean them up a little bit. There, bring that in. And I see I have a curve in here like this. So let's grab that anchor. Let's grab the mesh tool and add a mesh here and help. Look at that. Beautiful. Help create that curve right there. I have a strong shadow here with my highlight. So therefore, I am going to create a path here. And I'm going to create another right there. And that's going to help me with this shadow. That's going to help me with this shadow. So then I have all these beautiful mid-tone colors. So I'm going to need another one right around in there. And I have this strong highlight, so I'm going to need another one right in here. And I have the strong shadow here, so I'm going to put another one right in here. Now, here's the fun part, guys. We get to assign every single one of these anchor points its own unique color. And you're going to be toggling a lot between the direct selection tool and the eyedropper tool. This is the reason why you need to have your template file set at 100%. So I'm going to zoom in on this corner here, and I'm going to start from left to right, each row by row. So now here's the fun part. I wish I could speed up this video, but I can't. So here I got the indirect selection tool. I highlighted that anchor point, and I hit the I for eyedropper tool. And you want to select the color that's directly next to that anchor point. And notice that here on your fills, you can see how the color is changing. So you're going to type A and I a lot, or you can hit the command key after you selected both tools, and it toggles between one and the other. So that one gets this color, this one gets this highlight color, this anchor point here gets this highlight color. Notice it's got a highlighted color. This one gets this dark color, this one gets a slight highlight color, and this one gets this color over here. So here you go, and then just keep going row by row by row. Careful now, because you can also accidentally select the color of your guide. In this case would be like this olive green, and you'll have a region that has that olive green color selected. This one gets that strong highlight, and this one also gets that strong highlight, and same here. We're going to need another one here, otherwise this color here is going to surpass, and then you won't see this definition here, and we'll fix that momentarily after we assign colors to each one of these anchor points. And here we go. This one's going to be really large, but we will fix that later on. And this is a time-consuming process, so you have to be patient with the technique. But this tool, I guarantee you guys, once you master this and the pen tool, there is literally nothing in this world that you cannot draw using this program. And I also have some student samples of gradient mesh that I want to show you at the end of this tutorial. I actually used to have this project as your poster design project, the gradient mesh, but it's extremely challenging, and not a lot of people, a lot of students were up to that challenge, and it actually caused some students to drop my course because this is just a really difficult part of this program to master. But those that did manage to, stick it through, the results are just absolutely fantastic. Definitely worth for portfolio quality. It can show off student skill sets with this program. So let's go ahead and start finishing up and adding some of these colors here. Yeah, I wish I could go a little faster. There we go. I think after this one I have one, maybe two more rows to go. But you want to start shaping this up. Now this one's going to be really dark. So you start shaping it first before you add any of your colors, assigned colors. Now remember, each new region that you create is going to generate new anchor points, and those new anchor points needs to have colors assigned to them. That's what this process becomes a little tedious. But let me show you the results in a sec. And finally, the last anchor point with a color. Zoom out and check this out. View it in outline view mode, and let's turn that layer off. Here you go. You got yourself a three-dimensional side of the red bell pepper. Absolutely gorgeous. Now, you're going to toggle a lot between outline view mode and preview mode. Now, you can see it's not accurate, so we can study this. Check it out. Right here looks a little harsh to me. You see how this anchor point here has a lot of that color coming into it, right? So we can actually fix that by adjusting the actual anchor handles and how that color gets distributed. Notice how much softer that is. All right, now here we have a problem. This is supposed to have this nice little red color right there, right? And instead we have these two anchor points that have that highlight color assigned to it. So my solution is to simply add another anchor point, another region right along in here and break up those colors and assign, since I have created new anchor points, assign that different colors. So this one now gets this new color, and then this one now gets that new color, and these guys here now get that color, and this one gets this color, and that color, that color, that color, and that color. Now go back up, view your results, and you see how much more that's broken up. Look at that. This here needs to be a little darker. Add another anchor point, give that dark color assigned to it, and now you can create, since I created that new region, obviously I got new anchor points to assign colors to, and here we go. Give it that color, that color. Just because it draws the region in this square format, that does not necessarily mean that it has to stay that way. You can actually take and move them around to fit the design. Let's finish this up. I mean, yes, you do have to add the colors to those other new anchor points, but let's Let's focus on this area right here, for example. See that? I need this curved part right here to have that orange color. So let's create a region right in here, and that's going to help me create that. So that one right now, give it this orange color. This one gives it this orange color. That one give it that orange color. And this one give it that color. But not black, that color. This one should have this orange color. And this one has this color. Okay, view my results. Now I need this one here to have that strong highlight color. So that needs to have this color here. And then I'm going to create, it's a little too strong, so now I'm going to create another region right here and stop that color in its tracks right here. And therefore this region is going to stop that color in its tracks and give it this lighter, this darker color. There we go. I created that curve. So if I zoom out, now you can see that dimple right there, much, much better. Okay. Now let's focus on some of these darker areas. Now this one's got some shades. This one needs to have a darker area here. So let's create that. And let's stop it in its tracks. Otherwise, it'll overpower. Do another path right here, another one. And let's give that one the color that it needs to be. Indirect selection tool. And eyedropper tool. Direct selection tool, eyedropper tool. And assign them those colors. View your results. That. Okay, notice that this highlight area is overpowering everything. I need this darker color here, right? So I need to add a region here. So I want to add it exactly at this spot. I don't want to add any more anchor handles. I want it right here in this spot. Command Y, click, and assign my colors. Now I got my darker color here. And eyedropper tool. There we go. And now get in these colors. Now again, you want to select the color that's right next to those anchor points. And that is the trick. Now let's view my results. Getting a little closer, I have a lighter color in here. Let's bring that in, and let's select these lighter colors in there. And break up those highlights a bit. This is just a little overpowering. There you go. View my results. So now, if I zoom out, remove my layer, hide it, and then view it in preview mode. There you go, guys. There's a red bell pepper. Okay. See these little lines here? That can get fixed. It looks like a sketch line. One of these anchor points is probably a little too much. There we go. So then this one here is probably, see how you got that strong line? So this one here, you can actually correct it by fixing it and adding it a different color. There we go. That looks beautiful. It doesn't have to be 100% accurate from the actual photograph, but when you turn the layer of the photo off and you look at it, it looks realistic. That's the key point. That's what you want to accomplish. All right, guys, if you feel free to continue this project to learn more about the gradient mesh tool. I only had time to do this one area. Enjoy it. Do the left side. But before I let you go, let me show you the capabilities of this tool. So these here, I got some student sample work that they created a portrait design using nothing more than just gradient mesh tools and transparencies. So here are their notes. And let's zoom in on the area. Look at that. Absolutely gorgeous. All of this, guys, is done using the gradient mesh. Let's turn off the background. And here is outline view mode. And all that is one mesh. Okay. You zoom in on it, you can see that these hard lines are created because the actual mesh itself, they're sharing that region, the close space, and it creates the look of a plaid shirt, and beautifully done with all the folds of the clothes. And here's another piece there. And the way it's dissected, absolutely gorgeous. This is just the torso piece here. There you go. Hit undo. All right, so that's one that I want to show you. Let's close, don't save that. Here's another beautiful piece by another student. There it is in outline view mode. The hair was done using custom brushes, set into transparencies, different colors and different thickness. And down to the lollipop. Let's dissect this. Let's unlock the layer. That's the lollipop. The mouth was done on the layer. Each teeth was separated. Here is her face, all just the base colors. Kind of looks like an alien. And I did undo that. Yeah, look at that. And even the background is a mesh, creating this, I don't know, beautiful, whimsical world behind her. And love the way she handled the typography. And here is another beautiful piece on the portrait side of it, profile version. There's the outline view mode. All the hair strands are just strokes done with the brush tool and just drawing it out. But first, their background hair is a mesh, or getting all the basic colors and then just adding the hair strokes details afterwards. This is actually, I used this as a banner of for my YouTube video, but here's the actual mesh file. Here's the photograph used. And let's just hide the template for a sec. So now you can see all the mesh patterns. Okay. Zoom in on that. Hard to believe that this is all in vector format with all the hair. Down to the eyebrows. All that is just strokes and transparencies. Here's a wonderful piece also. Love, yeah, the bubble gum is really cute. Let's hide that. That's a mesh. That looks weird. But just so that you can see how all these pieces are done in separate layers. There you go. Here's the fingers, all done separately. Down to the details of the cuticles. Look at that. All that is one mesh. Exactly the way I showed you. This is how these students did it, using photographs of themselves. Look at that. Beautiful. And then these are just brush strokes to create the texture of her sweater. And I believe these brush strokes, it just has a transparency effect to it so that it looks like it's dimensional. And the sweater itself is also a mesh. See that? Just so that you can take a better look at that. Okay. It looks weird when you take it apart. And one more. Here you go. Outline view mode. And all these countless of strokes to create his facial hair. There you go. All right, guys, that's the gradient mesh tool in a nutshell. I hope you